So what we have to do today that we have to do Azure Load Balancer. What do you mean by load balancer? Anyone knows that? What exactly load balancers do? Anyone knows quickly? All okay. Yep, that's true. Load balancer is a load balancer. Exactly. So basically what is a load balancer? It is, I can simply say that there is a lot of load on your system when you deploy any website. Okay. Let's say that I'm deploying website for the flipkart.com. Right, I'm deploying it for flipkart.com, and there is a festival season. Lot of people are hitting on my website, right? So there will be lot of loads, and by mistake, some XYZ reason this website goes down, all the communication gets stopped. Okay, not the, let's say that not it's not going down, but I want to implement some new feature I want to implement in my website, right? So I have to impact my all the users. I have to, let's say, the restart the application. I have to impact my all the users, right? And let's say that I want to do the Windows patching. Microsoft wants to do some patching. So that scenario, what will happen? I have to take this machine down, and that will impact my all the virtual machine, all the users, right? So generally in productions, any production networks, whether it is on premises or is it on Azure, AWS, Google, right? If you are in a production, you don't keep your data on single server. You always have a redundancy. So redundancy in terms of that you will deploy multiple servers, and that is providing a same service. All right. So partially user will 50% user will go here, 50% will user go here, right? So this is what we call it a load balancer, load balancing. So we are distributing the traffic between these two systems, right? So if let's say that I want to do changes, I'll just do the changes for this machine. Meanwhile, I'll send all the traffic to this user, this machine. After doing the changes, I'll make it this up and ask users to come and log in here. And when the user and next day I'll do the downtime here, and all the users will go here for the changes. After the change is done, then I'll ask 50% users to come here. So how does this happen? How we can say that 50% users come here, 50% user go there? So there is a mechanism we call is load balancer. So load balancer is a kind of a device. If it's on premises, this is on premises device. If it is Azure, you can use the virtual machine and run the as a load balancer. Or best way is that there is a service called Azure Load Balancer service. So what will happen? All the traffic will hit to my load balancer. This all 100% traffic. This is all 100% traffic will hit to my load balancer. 50% I'm sending here and 50% I'm sending here, right? Equally distributed because the size of virtual machine is equal. Okay, is there some message? Yep, true. All right. Hello, hello, mic testing. Yes, it's moving. All right. So, so this is kind of a device. It can be virtual machine or it can be physical machine or it can be a service, resource or service on Azure. Service on Azure, right? So what we are going to study, we are going to study service as Azure because we cannot, since we are on a cloud, so we are not going to talk on a physical machines. We can have a virtual machine load balancer. What kind of load balancer we can have as a virtual machine? Let me show you first. So soft load balancer, right? there is kind of a lot of service will be available for load balancing service. Let's say that, okay, that is list of the 11 load balancer, free and open source, what we are looking right now. So what are the load balancer right now? We are looking, yeah, Nginx, AV Vantage, HA Proxy, Citrix ADC, loadbalancing.com. So those are the free open source load balancer. There's a couple of more load balancer which is a paid service, like let's say that Big Five, Big F5. This is also load balancer. This is commercial load balancer. It comes in a physical form also. It comes in my virtual machine form also. So this is a physical form. If I want to use as a virtual machine base, I can have virtual soft load balancer also. All right. There are a lot of companies available in the market who provide a load balancers. Make sense, guys? So what we are not going for the those Nginx HA proxy or Citrix AVD or Fig5 because those are the different properties. What we are going to look for that Azure load balancer. Azure load balancer. How it's function, how it works, we'll see in that in details. Right? We'll see in this one in details. Let me go on Azure side. Where is my that page? Yep. Okay. So in the load balancer, so we are going looking for the Azure load balancer. There is a two types of load balancer in Azure. Actually, there is a multiple types of load balancer, but I just tell you that broader way. Then we'll go in subway subcategories. So I'll just take it out a new page. Azure LB, right? Azure load balancer. There is a one type is public load balancer, public LB. Then it is called private LB or internal LB, internal LB load balancer, or you can simply say that private LB, right? Then there will be in terms of categorization, there is a two types which we call it a standard basic type, or it can be standard, right? In terms of SKU, in terms of in terms of billing, in terms of SLAs, right? Then we will having one more type of balancer is called local balancer. Look, rather than local, it's a regional and another is global. So what could be difference? Its name itself says that okay, regional will be works in a specific region, and global will be work on global basis. That it's not dependent on the regions, right? So let me give example on the picture which I want to show you right now. So this is my cross region or global load balancer, right? And then I'll have a multiple load balancers, which is my regional load balancer. Those could be a public, those could be a private. We'll see later on part. Make sense, guys? Any questions so far? Any questions on this categorization? We'll see that what exactly difference, but in terms of regional and global, are you clear that? No clear? Achha, no doubt. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect, perfect. All right. So let's have a load balancer. So first we'll understand that internal public load balancer. So what could be a difference here? There will be a couple of things which you need to understand in a load balancer. First is front end. Front end. Front end IP. Then you will have a backend pool. Backend pool. Then you will have health check. Then you will have a netting rule, LB rule, load balancer rule. Then you will have called my netting rule. All right, netting rule. So what we'll do that netting rule will keep it aside for now. We'll cover that, but keep it aside for right now. So this is four important things we need to understand any load balancer, whether it's Azure or any other load balancer. What is front-end IP? Any IP, any IP which is getting a public hit or the application hit, which is called a front-end IP. So those are the front-ending the loads. So let's say that my website is flipkart.com. My website is flipkart.com that having the public IP called 12.13.14.15, right? That is assume IP. So this is IP is going to called a front-end IP. And where we going to apply this public IP? Where we going to apply in front of my load balancer. So all the hits will comes to my load balancer, right? So this will be accepting my all traffic for the flipkart.com. Now, in the backend, I will be having a pool. Why I'm calling a pool? That not necessary. I'll be having two virtual machines. I can have multiple virtual machine. It can be two, it can be 100, doesn't matter. It depends how many virtual machine I'm deploying in the pool. So this is behind a load balancer, so we call it backend pool. Backend pool, right? Now, which virtual machine is working fine, which virtual machine is not working fine, which virtual machine is start state, which virtual machine is stop state. How do load balancer come to know to sending distributing a traffic? So for that we required a health check mechanism. Health check. So this mechanism will keep checking each virtual machine, whatever in the backend pool, it will keep checking that is it virtual machine listening, is virtual machine alive or dead, or is it virtual machine is accepting my request. That is called health check, right? Now, the last one is most important thing, load balancer rule. What load balancer rule says that I just right now giving you a scenario that I have one backend pool. I have one front-end pool. Let's assume I have three public IPs. Three public IPs attached to this load balancer. And I have I have four, okay, three backend pool. I can have three backend pool. So one backend pool I'm going to use for my website. Another backend pool I'm using for Flipkart. Another website I'm using for eBay. Another pool I'm using for Mintra, right? All are my backend pool. All are having 5 to 6 virtual machine in each pool. So this will have approximately 4 machines. This will have less load balancer. I'll have a one machine. This could be possible only one possible, right? So those are my backend spools. The load balancer rule will be decide which front-end IP. Let me write it here. Which front-end IP, FE, right? Front-end IP will communicate or send the traffic or will send the traffic to which backend pool. I have multiple backend pool, right? I can have multiple backend pool. So which front-end IP will sending a traffic to which backend pool, that will be deciding at load balancer rule. So in the load balancer rule, I'm not only deciding that pools or IPs also, so this is what we call it front-end IP and second as back-end IP. We call it NATing service. Don't get confused with this NAT service. This is called NATing service or network address translation. I'm front-end IP. This will be IP get changed here in the back-end IP. Let's say that 192.168.1.4. So this IPs is getting changed from public IP to secondary IP, backend IPs, private IP, public IP to private. This service, this mechanism is called NATing mechanism, right? Now, possible I am getting hit here on port 80. It's a website, but all the my website is running here port 443 HTTPS, right? So I'm changing port also, not only IP, I'm changing port also. So the port 80 will be become port 443 in backend. That mechanism is called patting, port address translation, right? Any questions so far, guys? Any questions? Sure, 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 sure. Okay. No question to Shravan. Ravindra required revision. And what about Kiran? Are you get it? Kiran, are you there? All right. If your question, okay, perfect, perfect. So let me not repeat here. It will make confuse you. I'll just repeat the last point or load balancing function. This is my load balancer, right? And this is my backend pool. This is a pool. Pools can have one machine. It can have 100 machine. Doesn't matter. Clear, right? Unmute yourself if you don't. If you have a doubt. So it can have number of virtual machines. Now all the traffic. This is my user. Typing here flipkart.com. So this flipkart.com get resolved with some IP, public IP, and goes to fetch the website from the IP. Then he find out that public IP is attached here, this area. This is a public IP is attached here. The public IP is attached here, right? After finding public IP, it goes to public IP. Now all the traffic is coming to public IP, but my data is stored. My website is stored on virtual machine, which is in my VNet. Virtual network. Those are in my VNet. Those are my subnet. So definitely they're using my private IPs, right? Definitely they're using my private IPs. So this is a private IPs. So I'm changing public IP to private IP. This function changing IP address. Let's assume that here is IP is 1.13. 14.15. This is IP is public IP. The website is requested for my this public IP. Now this IP is get changed, goes to here. This IP is get changed. So this is become a NATing service. Network address translation. NAT. Network address. What is network address? IP is definitely network address. Getting translated. This is service called NATing service. Right? Let me show on the graph something good you can find out. Yep. Can you see that? Some traffic is coming here on public IP. The NAT servers get converted to private IP. That is called a NATing. Right, guys? Perfect. Perfect. All right. Uh, all right. This is get changed from public IP to private IP. That is called NATing. Not necessary public IP to private IP is called NATing. Sometimes public IP to convert another public IP also called NATing. Right? This is what I'm not Azure part. I'm just explaining the in general. So NATing can be public IP to private IP, right? Or vice versa, right? It can be public IP to public IP, another public IP, or vice versa. Definitely vice versa. Or it can be private IP to private IP, or vice versa, right? So this is technology called NATing. This is called NATing. Address get changed. I am coming from original different address. Now when I reach to final point, my address get changed. That is called a network address translation. But sometimes what happens that I am typing here, let's say that if you see that I generally type HTTPS, S stand for secure slash slash google.com. So I'm typing here right now 443 and I get the page for 443. Right? How do I come to know that's the page on 443? This certificate I'm getting, secure certificate, right? If I just click here, click on the connections is secured. Yes, security connections. I just see that what is my certificate details. So it shows that certificate details. But sometimes you don't type, I'm sorry. Sometimes you don't type HTTPS, you just type HTTP instead of HTTPS, right? So you're sending the connection on port 80, but it automatically gets changed to secured connection. If I again click here, you can see that HTTPS here. If I again remove HTTP and search it here, I will get again back to HTTPS, right? So those are enforcing me to get the connection on 443. So those address, when I requested address from here, it was I reached requesting on port 80, right? But it's get converted, enforce me to go on 443. That is port is getting changed. Might be possible that I'm requesting here port 80 and some application like a Tomcat or WebLogic, those application listens on port 8080. They don't listen on port 80 or 443, they listen on port 8080, right? So this is address, my flipkart.com people or my general people don't know what port I'm listening. So they will send me standard port 80. But this load balancer get convert to the another port is become port 8080. This kind of service is called patting, port address translation. Right? Sometimes people use patting and natting both, or sometimes people use single natting, sometimes people use only patting. That's a different cases what you use. So in this scenario, let's say that I am sending a traffic to 80 and it get changed to 443, and I'm sending a traffic to private public IP, it's get converted to private IP, right? So it's happening natting plus patting, both is happening here. So my IP address will be 1.2.3.1.4.colon 80, which get converted to 192.168.0.4443. So this is called natting patting. Is it clear, Ravindra and Kiran and Shravan? Yep, perfect guys. Right? So this, if you're changing a port, that is called patting, port address translation. If you're changing address, this is called natting. Simple. Now coming back to our picture. Okay, this message again. Perfect. Coming back to our original. So what I say that in load balancer, I'm not only defining the public front-end IP and back-end IP. I'm not only defining natting rule. The front-end IP will get changed, converted to back-end pool. That is called natting. I'm not only defining natting, I'm also defining patting also in the load balancer. So what are the things I require to run my entire load balancer? First thing, I should have some public IP or front-end IP. Rather than using word public IP, I'll use a front-end IP because it can possible. It is internal load balancer. This is public load balancer, what we are right now looking right now. If in the future it will be internal load balancer, this one, internal load balancer, private load balancer, that IP will be a private IP. So we just simply say that front-end IP. The front-end IP should be there. Either it's public or private. Then I should have a backend pool. There will be a pool. In the pool, it could be one machine or 100 machines. Doesn't matter, right? In then I required health check. So load balancer required to know that which machine is running in the pool, which is running, which is stop. So we will be using health check. Health check, checking health of my all machines. Wait, let me see that my continue. Perfect. Hopefully I should have subscription here. Let's see that I have, this is my disabled subscription. I should see that, yep, one active subscription. Perfect guys. So we'll do the practical also. All right. So the health check will keep checking the machine which is running state or which is listening state of my request. So that is called health check. Now, finally, I have health checking. I have front-end IP. I have backend pool. So it could be possible that I can have multiple public IPs attached to my load balancer. It could be possible I have multiple backend pool. So if a request is coming to this IP, he should go to this this IP, this traffic should go to this website or this website. Who will decide that? This will be decided by the load balancer rule. In the load balancer rule, mainly we define the natting, but sometimes we define the patting also. Sometimes, not always. Make sense, guys? Right? So let's deploy practically if you don't have any questions. So first of all, what I'll do that I will have I was talking about we high redundancy. So this machine goes down, so this machine should be up. If Microsoft makes possible that both machines goes down, Microsoft can do that. To overcome this problem, Microsoft can make it that, okay, I want to do the patching of my physical servers. So I'll take this physical server down and these two, both the servers on the same physical servers. So that could be possible. To overcome this problem, what do we have? We have availability set or availability zone, right? Availability set or zone. So our machine should be either availability set or availability zone to achieve behind the load balancer backend pool. Because what happened if you keep it a load balancer, high redundancy, but Microsoft take us physical servers goes down for physical servers down, and possibly all the virtual machine was running on that same physical server. The entire mechanism which you try to make it high availability all collapse. So you should have the availability sets or availability zone, right? So we'll quickly deploy availability set. If you guys remember availability set, oh yeah, here is availability set. So I'll just create a new availability set. I'll say that flipkart.com. You can create it any availability set, doesn't matter. Flipkart, Flipkart hyphen AV. Okay, I need to change the region. South UK, I'm not sure that all the virtual machine will be available here. Simply say that this is NATing. Private IP get converted to public IP converted to private IP. That is called NATing. If I say the patting, port was all 80 here, get converted to something different port. That is called patting. Okay, hopefully I just want to change the resource group. Alright, resource group is ready. I think. Let me deploy one virtual machine. I'll say that web1. This is my Flipkart hyphen web1. Already option, already set. Then which already set, I just now created. I'll say that sysadmin. Okay, let's go that. Fine. Too slow. Let me deploy another virtual machine quickly because I just want to show you that two example Flipkart Web 2 and we are deploying in Central US. This is a just standard. Oops, I think I haven't put in availability set, right? So I have to put in availability set. Going back and changing the availability set. Desk, public IP, all good. Let's create it again. So guys, remember that I don't know you have practice or not, but I already told you that if you deploy one virtual machine out of the availability set, you cannot take it inside, or if you deploy it inside the availability set, you cannot take it outside. Those could be interview questions. Right. Now I am deploying here load balancer. Let the virtual machine deploy in backend. We'll see later on, but let me deploy a load balancer. Creating a load balancer. Now this is the important part. So far we already know that so many things. This is important part which we need to understand. First thing is that choose a right subscription, then resource group where it will be get built. Load balancer name, I'll say that my Flipkart LB. What kind of LB I want to have it? I want to say that external LB. I'll just say that ELB, external LB or public LB, right? It is, it should be a same region where my virtual machine it is. Central US, right? There is a two options. One is standard, another is a basic. Basic load balance is totally free of cost, but you won't get SLA, service level agreement here. You won't get proper response from Microsoft. Microsoft will treat you as a secondary nationality if you deploy as a basic load balancer. If you go for the standard load balancer, there will be a charges, right? So let me show you basic. Once I make it basic, the basics only regional load balancer is available. It is not available global load balancer. It you can take it public load balancer, public load balancer or private internal load balancer doesn't matter. Both you can take it up in the basic. But the tiers, which is global or regional, you always have the regional. But if I go for the standard load balancer, I can choose public. In the load balance, I can choose a global or I can choose regional. If I choose internal, so definitely internal will have a some region base, right? This is IP foundation will be there. So I'll be having public IP, regional load balancer. Going further, I'll just what happened? I just provided details later on. Those are details is not mandatory as of now. I can deploy, okay, it's saying mandatory, but earlier it's not mandatory. I can just simply deploy load balancer. Now I'll create a one load balancer public IP. I'll say that Flipkart PIP, public IP. Which public IP you want to associate, right? Do you have public IP? I can associate public IP which is attached to virtual machine, but it says that cannot associate. So I'll be create a new public IP. Flipkart LB hyphen PIP, public IP, right? Zone redundant, create a public IP. Now I need to define after creating public, it is not created to be created. It's going to be created. That's why I don't have public IP. Now after that, I need to define a backend pool. So I have to create a first pool. I'll say that my BG pool for Flipkart. Which virtual network? I'll define this virtual network where I have deployed my virtual machines. As of now, I have only virtual machine network where I'm running a virtual machine. Come on. So this will be my virtual machine and I'll be choosing this virtual network, Flipkart VNet. So I'm just choosing Flipkart VNet, right? I want to have a backend pool based on NIC card or based on the private IPs. It's up to me that I can have different options. I can bind with IPs or I can bind with a NIC card. So let's go for NIC card. Both are almost same, right? Now let me see that which virtual machine is available. Why it's not showing me on the virtual machine? It should show me some virtual machine. Mhm. Bit. Okay, I'm just refreshing and creating again. Let's see that I can see the backend pool or not. After the refreshing, I'll say that BG pool 1 choosing virtual machine Can attach. Yep, I can attach those virtual machine questions. Yep, I checked just now. Check already option is there. So adding to this two virtual machine in the backend pool, both are backend pool BG pool 1, BG pool 1, both are the pools single pool. I can have multiple pool also. Same in backend, I can have multiple public IP also. I can have multiple public IP also. Right, this is my backend pool. Now I need to define inbound rule. What is inbound rule? This is nothing but my load balancer rule. Inbound rule is nothing but my load balancer rule. Right, incoming traffic load inbound rule. So I'll just say that I can have in inbound rules, I have load balancer rule or natting rule. So if you guys remember that natting rule, I have kept it aside for now because I will talk later on the natting rule. We'll see that only load balancer rule. So I'll have a load balancer rule. In this load balancer rule, what I'll do that I'll just say that LB rule for Flipkart. Then I'll say that this will be front-end IP. This is what I have. I'm choosing I'm choosing that this will be a front-end IP listening on port 80. The backend port will be also 80, right? That could be possible. And backend port will be my BG1. So here I'm not doing any batting. I'm just keeping a same ports. But if I'm running a service on 443, so I can keep a patting also, right? So let me run this machines on the 443 as of now. Help probe, I don't have any help probe. This is one of essential things which I said that what should you have a help probe. So we are creating a new help probe here. I'll say that help probe name is health check. Which which protocol I want to check it, port 80, or I can simply check 3CP. So I'll say that 3389. If machine is running, providing RDP, then you can consider that virtual machine is healthy. If providing RDP, then you can consider as a healthy. And check every 5 seconds that machine. Every virtual machine check every 5 seconds. After checking 5 seconds, if virtual machine don't respond, check again second times 5 seconds. Then if doesn't respond, then it will call as a machine unhealthy state. Now load balancer will not send a traffic to this machine which is don't respond after 2 times health check. But load balancer will keep checking. After a few minutes, it's ready and up running, and it's keep checking, right? So after checking that it's respond, then it starts sending the my traffic, right? I'll not go on details that or that's that off topics, persistent sessions. You have to understand that what is sticky no sticky sessions and non-sticky sessions. Then what is a time ideal timeout? Those things float in IPs. That all the details, but I'm not doing right now. Right? I am created one load balancer rule, one load balancer rule, and this is health check. I have also created health probe. Now, outbound rule is optional. If once you wanted to have SNAT, source natting, then only you use that outbound rules. Let's create a load balancer. Any question, guys, so far? Any questions? Perfect, Ravindra. No question from Shravan, Kiran. Perfect, guys. So whatever we have seen here, that's all we are implementing. That's why I cover up the first part this here, then we are deploying the load balancer. Now my load balancer is ready. If I go on load balancer, I'll just go on here and look for the load balancer service. Load balancer service. I'll see that I have one load balancer. Come on. Let wait for a couple of seconds, guys. I know Microsoft is giving trouble on nowadays. Where is my load balancer? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. My bad. I haven't changed the subscription. Okay, this time this is frequently happen that you keep checking here that and this is a different subscription. You don't find it. How to fix that? You have to go on this filter tunnel, right? And choose your subscription. In the subscription, this is a default subscription filter. Right now, only I have this filter. I have to tick mark this one. Because of this, both the subscription detail I can see in my every search list. Right now I can see that you can simply say, if I go outside, come back, load balancer, by default it's selected two subscriptions. Can you see that? This is I can find out. Okay, this is my load balancer. Here I can find out my front-end IP. I can add multiple front-end IPs, right? So let's say that I have another front-end IP, FE2, right? I don't have it right now, so I'll just say that this is my eBay PIP. All right, let it be in backend. So this will having front-end IP soon. Let me refresh it here. Yep. Can you see that I have another front-end IP which is don't have any rules as of now. Load balancer rule or netting rule, no, don't have any rule. This is Flipkart one have one rules. This is my backend pool. I can create multiple backend pool, but I cannot create multiple backend pool just like that. I need to provide my VNet or subnet virtual machine. And remember, guys, the important thing is that once you choose any VNet for the backend pool, that will always stick together. You can choose the different subnets, but you cannot choose a different VNet. That will be part of that load balancer. So I don't have any virtual machines. I can choose same machines, right? I can choose the same machine, doesn't matter. I'll be running two websites here. Let's see later on tomorrow. I'll be setting up two websites. One will be on port 80, another will be port 443. Okay. So the backend pool I'm ready now. I'm getting ready now. This is backend two pool will be two ready, and we'll have a help probe. We'll keep checking websites. Then we can have a load balancer rule. As of now, I have only one rule. I can create a new rule for my eBay rule. Right, I'll choose a front end IP, second front end IP. Then port will be port 80, and backend will be also port 80. And a health check, I'm just choose that this backend pool, second pool, and a health check, same health check, I'm considering that, okay, this health check is sufficient to check my systems. All right. So as of now, I don't have website running in this two virtual machine. I'll be installing two websites tomorrow. One will be running for the eBay, another will be running for the Flipkart.com. Same machines, both the machines will have running two websites. Then we will have a load balancer rule. One load balancer rule will say that, okay, I'm listening. Sorry, here you can say that. I'm front end, I'm listening port 80, but in back end, I'll be converted to 443. This one will be front end also a port 80, back end also port 80. That's why it's not showing that. There's no patting happening here. It's standard, only natting happening. Here patting also happening. That's why it's showing here. Make sense, guys? Then tomorrow we'll talk about the inbound rules also. Any questions so far? Any questions, Kiran? Sharon says no, and Ravinder says no. Perfect. Perfect, guys. So tomorrow we'll have a demonstration. I already have deployed, but tomorrow what I'll do that I'll be installing two website here in this two virtual machine, and I'll showing that two with the two front-end IPs how we can achieve same load balancer and two backend pools, two front-end IPs, and we'll see the different websites. Okay. So till the time, guys, do the practice. I send that this again to you. This one. Please do the practice from this. This is most important things. If you don't do the practice, you will forget. I didn't share. Okay. Session 20, 21. All right, I'll share it, guys. When we have a session 21, this is on Tuesday. Okay, 2nd November. Perfect. I'll send it. I'll send it both right now. Yep, right. I'll send right now.